Am I going to seem brain dead if I pick Conor McGregor to beat Max Holloway? I'm not picking Conor just yet. I haven't made up my mind, but this picture of Patrick is genuinely how I feel when I start thinking Conor McGregor might actually have a chance in this fight. But in this video, we're going to talk about why I think Conor could win. We'll discuss what version of Conor we could be getting. Talk about how this is Max Holloway's first time up in welterweight, which completely favors Conor's power and durability. How both Dustin Poirier fights were at lightweight and how their previous lifestyles could factor into this matchup. So now let's think about this for a second. Let's just get the facts straight. 5 years out of the game, we have no idea what version of Conor we're getting. But one thing we can confidently say, he should hold the power advantage here. I can't imagine anyone will pick Max Holloway to have the power advantage here. If Max wins, it's going to be Max picking him apart, landing a volume of shots throughout 5 rounds, using his cardio and picking up the pace as Conor slows down. If Holloway gets a knockout, it's after he beat Conor up for 5 rounds like Max did to Justin Gaethje or the Korean Zombie. But let's imagine for a second. Conor comes in with his karate style. Long, rangy, moving in and out, hard to reach, hard to land on. We see Max have a hard time gauging distance. And so let's imagine Max also comes in with a similar style, staying on the outside, trying to pick Conor apart over the course of the fight. Both guys sniping each other from range. The guy with the more power is going to land the more devastating shots. The story of the fight is going to be the shots landed that had the more impact if both guys are sniping from the outside. Conor has the power advantage here in the boxing. I can confidently say that. And that's not something we could say in his last fight versus Dustin Poirier. Poirier could punish Conor badly if he catches him with a clean shot. And keep in mind, Conor fought Dustin in lightweight. The last 2 times that they fought, that was a lightweight Conor. This is going to be a welterweight bout versus Max Holloway. And the last time Conor fought in welterweight, he destroyed Donald Cerrone. He looked flawless. He looked full. He looked muscular. He looked powerful. The last welterweight bout before that was with Nate Diaz, and he looked phenomenal there as well in his second fight with Nate Diaz. These are factors we have to take into consideration. Yes, he did get slept, and he got his leg broken by a powerful Dustin Poirier in his lightweight fight, last fight. But Max doesn't have that power, and Conor was in lightweight. Conor looks full and healthy here. He looks eager to fight right now. And if he can compromise Max early on, I do think the fight shifts into his favor, and he can continue that momentum into the rest of the fight. When he fought Dustin in lightweight, Conor could not eat a shot the same way he could eat a shot in welterweight with some extra pounds on him. Now here versus Max, Conor can eat a solid shot from Max even if it was in lightweight, but this is welterweight. This is the first time Max will fight in welterweight. That's a huge factor here. Even if it was lightweight, Conor can still eat a shot from Max and will still hold the power advantage. But now welterweight Conor will be so much bigger and stronger and more durable against someone who isn't known for his power. Max can knock guys out after he's broken them down over the course of 5 rounds. But when both guys are fresh, Conor's going to be much more stronger, much more powerful, much more durable, and that makes him dangerous. He's not going to allow Max to get his rhythm going if Conor's winning the early exchanges, sniping him with powerful shots early on. Conor can for sure eat a shot from Max and lock back in, but stylistically, Max is going to have to do more than just box with Conor. Max has to use his leg kicks. He has to use his spinning attacks, be more athletic. So I ask myself, is Conor's legs going to get chewed up by Max in this fight? Maybe. But I do think Conor can capitalize by timing right hands up the middle when Max goes for them. Now, look, of course, the safer pick would be Max. I'm hearing all these things saying, put your house on Max. Max is the biggest lock of the century. Max is going to do nasty things to Conor. And it might be logical to say that considering Max has been active. Max has been fighting high-level guys. Max has been in the trenches, training hard. Max never took 4 years off to go lay on his Lamborghini yacht for a couple years. He never took 4 years off to make a movie as well. That lifestyle difference for sure has to play a factor here. We truly don't know what version of Conor we're getting, but can we just slow down and think about this for a second? This is Conor McGregor we're talking about. Not just some random guy. This is someone who has an insane amount of belief in himself. And yes, he did take a massive layoff from the sport, but maybe that's not the worst thing in the world. Sometimes a break can really benefit your game. Now he's saying his mind is clear. His body is fresh. He's coming off a long layoff. He's well rested. And if you look at clips of him in training and in the interviews recently, he seems engaged. He seems present and he seems eager and is excited to come back. He's already playing his mind games again. You know, this isn't that bullshit, happy and Mr. Peaceful, Mr. Nice Guy Conor McGregor we saw when he fought Dustin Poirier the second time. This is a funny, re-energized, happy to be there Conor. You know, that's when Conor has shown to be the most dangerous. When he's playful, loose, fluid, talking and training, playing mind games, you know. He's speaking things into existence, you know. He's saying this is the greatest comeback ever in sports history. I will beat Max Holloway. Talking about showing strides in his game from the last time they fought. And of course, saying all this stuff is different than actually doing it. But Conor was like the first person ever to openly speak about what he wants to do and actually going out there and doing it. Of course, there was all this talk about him coming back earlier. No, actually, no one actually believed he will ever fight again. But the point is, he's here now. You know, he has a fight. He got what he wanted, and I fully believe he is showing up the best version of himself for the love of the game, for passion. You know, clearly he can retire. He doesn't have to fight. He doesn't have to be here. I mean, he's well off. He's doing this because he wants to. You know, no one's forcing him to fight. He wants this and he wants to win. You know, there's no way he's coming into this matchup at 70% or 80% effort. You know, he's coming to win. You know, he literally said in an interview, he's living in the gym for this fight. He's not even kidding when he says that. He's sleeping in the gym. He's giving it his all. Both men here, Conor McGregor and Max Holloway, when they are on top of their game, they are both high-level athletes, you know, high-level strikers. McGregor, he's an explosive counter-puncher, sniper. He seeks sudden, devastating knockouts, while Holloway is a cardio machine who puts up high-volume combinations and breaks his opponents down mentally and physically. He's like Marab, but in a striking version, right? I'm just saying, if Conor comes in here with a wide karate stance, hyper aware of his distance management, able to dictate the range of where this fight takes place, Max Holloway can be in some serious danger of eating some hard shots, especially early in this fight. I can see Conor McGregor flipping and landing that left hand multiple times. I think the first few rounds are going to be very important in terms of setting the tone for the rest of the fight. You know, because if McGregor is able to land some left-hand shots, some left hooks or uppercuts up the middle, that could compromise Max Holloway for the rest of the fight. And that's when McGregor is most dangerous. You know, those early rounds, banging explosive shots, because Max does get hit early in the fight, but it's Max's ability to absorb those shots early and keep going is why he's such a dangerous cardio machine. But if Max can weather that storm, he can weather that early storm, his pressure will not stop. You know, once Max finds his flow state, it's pretty much game over. Because we know he isn't getting tired. That's one thing. He's able to overwhelm his opponents with 4, 5, 6 shot combinations to the head, to the body. If we see Conor take a gasp of air or Conor puts his hands on his hips in the middle of the fight to catch his breath, it's pretty much GG's. It's over at that point. But because look, there's a world where Conor has a great start, finds his rhythm, uses his power, and really compromises Max, you know. But Max is if Max is able to use his legendary chin, his elite footwork, find his rhythm, use his insane cardio, push the pace and drown McGregor, that will favor him. That's his way to win in this fight, right? But this is the first time we will see Max Holloway at 170 pounds. You know, who knows how Max's lateral movement is going to look? Can he avoid McGregor's burst of explosion? You know, because if we get Max Holloway on his A game, he can absolutely target the body of Conor and deplete his gas tank, ramp up the striking output in rounds 3, 4, and 5. It's without a doubt Max will have the better cardio. But it is those early moments that will set the tone for the fight, because if Conor McGregor can compromise Max enough in those early rounds using his power and range, he can slow the pace down to his type of fight. You know, slow Max down, dictate the pace, and make the fight competitive, you know? And look, when I first saw they announce this matchup, instantly I thought, dang, Max Holloway is going to put a whooping on this guy. But then I started thinking about it. McGregor's an explosive sniper, you know, massive power, dangerous early. When Holloway, endless cardio, elite volume, pressure heavy boxing, this fight comes down to a classic questions. Is it going to be the power or is it the pace? You know, Holloway is the safer pick because he's been active, fighting elite level competition, and pushes a relentless pace for years, has an elite chin. So if Max wins, it's likely through volume, cardio, and overwhelming pressure over 5 rounds. But stylistically, McGregor is still dangerous. You know, at welterweight, Conor should be bigger, stronger, and hold a clear power advantage. If both fighters stay at range and try to strike technically, Conor's shots will likely carry more impact. His karate stance, his distance management, and counter left hand could create major problems early on in this fight. You know, Max's key will be surviving the early opening rounds, using his movement, body work, and non-stop combinations to wear Conor down over time. You know, if Holloway can weather the early power and force a high-paced fight into the later rounds, the momentum could shift heavily into his favor. You know, the biggest unknown is simply what version of Conor McGregor shows up after a long layoff. If he returns focused, sharp, and motivated, the early rounds become extremely dangerous for Max Holloway. I'm leaning Max Holloway as of now overall because of his recent activity and his cardio, but McGregor's power and early striking threat make him very live in this matchup. Figured I'd come on here, give my early thoughts on this fight. You know, I'm still torn between the two, but I just thought the odds were crazy. I had to give my thoughts on it. So, till next time, peace.